Welcome to the GameDev.tv Community Podcast. I'm your host KB, and I would like to introduce you to industry professionals and people who successfully made their path to the video game industry. I hope that you will enjoy the podcast and get useful tips that will bring you closer to achieving your dreams. Now, let's get right into the podcast.
So when did you start doing game development? Was it something you've always wanted to do, or was it something you started doing in college?
Oh, well, I started doing the game development when I was like 15 years old. Just myself, following Unity tutorials, following the brackeys tutorials.
Yeah,
just like everyone else.
You can't go wrong with those bracket tutorials.
Yeah, I started with I think he had a roller ball game or something like that.
Mm-hmm.
That's where I started, and I went on from there. That was almost 10 years ago.
Wow. Can you imagine that? Did you envision like where you would be now back then?
Yeah, I actually, when I started, I thought that it was just going to be a hobby because I didn't know like how big the industry was or the opportunities that you can have, all the different roles that there are in game development, and didn't know any of that. So yeah, it's quite amazing to be part of this super awesome industry.
Mm-hmm. Hey, the game industry is a pretty awesome industry. You get to make games, entertain people, and the creativity is beyond anything you can even imagine.
Yeah.
So for people who don't know, what exactly does a tech artist do?
Oh, that's a tricky question because
Right.
Tech artists are like the merge of an artist and a programmer, basically. So a tech artist is basically someone in the team that will work along with the programmers and work with the concept artists and stuff, and we'll make tools for the actual for the 2D artists and the 3D artists to be able to do what they want to do. So being a tech artist is not just one thing. It can be like, for example, I do a lot of VFX work, like a lot of shaders for doing particle effects and stuff. But I also know some tech artists that don't do any visual stuff. They just do like systems for other artists in the team. Maybe systems for managing the materials in the project, systems for handling the illumination, because you maybe want to have like a different type of illumination in the Unity project. There are a lot of ways to be a tech artist. Yeah, it's a
sounds complicated, right? Yeah, it's like
yeah.
But so like, for instance, so when you started doing art, right, what was this like? You said it was in college, or was it more like early on and then you started doing game development with art?
Well, I actually went to college I studied graphic design.
Okay.
So yeah, I'm more of an artist than a programmer, I think. But during college, I started learning about shaders, about programming, and that's when I discovered that I could merge these two different disciplines into one.
Yeah,
That's
like,
how I
both worlds.
Yeah, because I really like math and I like techie problems and all that. That's when I discovered that that's maybe my fit in the industry.
Okay, so for somebody who wants to start going down the route of tech artists, should they start like drawing every day and then also doing like small programming challenges every day, or just focus on something else, would you say?
Well, that's a cool question. Actually, well, at least for myself, what I did is I simply tried to replicate something I saw in a game. Like, for example, if I saw a cool effect, maybe a cool particle effect in a game, I would go like, how can I do that? And I would simply go all in with shader graph and amplify shader editor tools like that. Those are really artist-friendly tools, and I just simply went ahead and tried everything that I could come up with. Later, I would also do some research about how other artists do the things, because that's the cool thing about tech art, is that there's not just one single way to do things. You can actually do the same effect in many different ways, and I think it's a really creative process in the end. So yeah, if you want to start doing tech art, I would go like just try to replicate something cool that you see in a game that is not something that you see in every game, maybe try start like doing a toon shader or something like that. Maybe an outline shader. The simple stuff that making them will teach you like a lot. Yeah, that's how I would go.
And then when you're doing that, should you be studying like fundamentals and like taking different courses on like shading, how to do some stuff in Blender, how to do like pipeline stuff, or what do you?
Well, that's actually, yeah. When I started, there was not a lot of info in shader graph. So actually, the reason why I started doing tutorials on my Twitter account is because there weren't a lot of shader graph tutorials. So I didn't actually have a lot of info that I could understand. There's a lot of info out there. It's just simply that it was too difficult for me at the time to understand it. So yeah, I didn't actually have like a lot of places to go when I wanted to get info. Nowadays, I am in Discord groups and I ask a lot there. Like I'm in tech artist Discord groups. I'm in the Amplify Shader Discord server and I ask a lot there. So that's where I go and get my documentation. I also check a lot the Unity documentation. Like I had to learn every single node of shader graph. Simply learn, read them from the Unity documentation, and that helped me a lot. But yeah, when you're starting, is kind of a big thing to tackle because there's just so much info. Maybe the easy way to do it is to learn another discipline first. Maybe learn really well 3D modeling or 3D.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah.
That makes sense. So it's like master one and then kind of master the other one and then bring them both together so that you can master just tech art.
Yeah, because in the end, being a tech artist means that you have deep understanding of how a 3D modeler works, how a 3D texture works, how a rendering artist works, because basically you're going to be working with them and making tools for them all the time. So yeah, you got to understand what their priorities are, and yeah, the best way to do it is to simply become one first.
Right. See, that's the hard part too.
Yeah, it's kind of tricky.
So what's cool is you can have a passion for maybe 3D modeling and then be really good in programming, and you could bring it all together. It's like, is there a moment when you were like, this is the coolest thing ever, like to do art and programming all together?
Yeah, all the time. Whenever I do something that I haven't seen online, it's like, wow, that's when I feel like I'm alive.
There you go.
Yeah.
So that's all about. Now, so you do under 60-second tutorials, right? When did you start doing that? And like, what is the process behind that?
Yeah, I started doing those about a year ago. No, maybe like October of last year. That's when I started. Yeah, actually, the reason why I started doing 60-second tutorials was because Twitter compresses a lot.
Oh, really? Oh, yeah. Why do they do that? Why do they?
Yeah, so I figured like, how can I make tutorials and not get the Twitter compression to destroy my work? Well, I'll just make them like really quick. And yeah, it kind of, people kind of like them, I think.
For 1 second, I just noticed that you made a a canvas in, I think it was Unity, and then you had drawn like a circle, like a little one-eyed glasses, and then it was Dogecoin. And the thing, I was like, are you kidding me? I love that. I love the whole Dogecoin stuff.
Yeah.
So for instance, like these different 60-second tutorials, sure, they're 60 seconds, but how long does it really take to make them?
Oh, well, those take me about a week to make them because usually I try to do something that I haven't seen anywhere else. So that's the hard part, like to come up with a new technique or a new idea, because yeah, I don't really have any interest in doing something that it's already out there. I
love that.
Those things, yeah. So coming up with like new workflows, that's the hard part. Actually, that one that you said, the pencil that is drawing
The Dogecoin with the bow tie and like that. Yeah.
that dough. That's something that I came up with. I don't know if someone else has already done it, but I just came up with, kind of by accident, but
What do you mean by accident? Like you just came
yeah,
upon
well,
Dogecoin and
no, the actual mechanic of drawing in Unity, I was like trying to figure out a way to do it like really simple and uh, and a way to, because there are many ways to draw in Unity, but I was trying to figure out a way that all the artists could do without programming at all. So how that effect works is that actually you have a camera, and that camera is kind of glitched, and it doesn't clear every frame. So so what's happening is that it is not actually, you're not actually drawing, you're just like leaving the trail of where the pencil was. So it was something that I thought that was really simple and clever, and I made a tutorial about it. That's mainly why I don't do tutorials that often. I do like one tutorial every month, but that's the reason why, because I try to do something unique every time.
that makes sense because if you try to do something new every week, I can see it could burn you out or stress you out. Yeah. But wow. No, that's all really cool because it's awesome. It's easy to make something like that other people have done, but it's harder and more impressive to do something that nobody's ever done and to give it such detail and care like you do. That's what makes you stand out. Like when I see your page, I'm like, whoa, what is all this? Like this is really cool.
Thanks.
Yeah. And then so like for the sheep in the one of these other tutorials, like you make all that, you make the art, you also make the programming, and you just like everything is all from scratch.
Yeah, that's actually a game I was doing a while ago with some of my friends. That game it didn't release. Well,
Yeah.
it hasn't released yet. It was called Goodnight Carl, and I used that sheet because I was doing a bunch of effects for that game, and I
Mhm.
realized that there weren't any tutorials out there, because that was like 4 years ago, I think.
Yeah.
In those times, Unity was using the lightweight render pipeline, and it
Okay.
was something like completely new, and everyone was like, "What the hell is this?"
Exactly. Yeah.
So, so yeah, I like the ship. I didn't do the ship, but I did like the effects surrounding the ship, like the effect. There's one tutorial I did that allows you to see the ship through the walls.
Oh yeah, the see-through wall shader.
Yeah,
Mhm.
that's with a shader.
Oh, so
Um,
for just quick 1 second, let everyone know exactly where they can find all these tutorials too on YouTube. What's your name on there?
oh yeah, you can find me on Twitter as Daniel Santalla.
Yep. And so he posts the 60 on Unity 60-second tutorials there and on his YouTube.
Yeah, I post them on YouTube too, but mainly on Twitter. That's where you can see them easily.
ArtstudioVR. Can you talk a little bit about that? Because that
Oh yeah,
looks amazing.
yeah. That's what I've been working since December.
It's like you become Bob Ross.
Yeah, yeah. That's like my passion project,
Ooh,
actually.
okay. Oh yeah, let's definitely dive into it because
Yeah,
it looks really
I'm really
good.
liking it so far. Actually, what I'm trying to do is not just a game. I'm trying to make a tool. So what I showcased a few days ago is that's actually me just painting in VR. But eventually, when the app launches,
Mhm.
you will be able to import 3D models and texture them in there, and then export those textures and use them, I don't know, in Unity or whatever you want. So yeah, I'm really liking it so far, because I'm trying to make like a really easy to understand tool, because I mean there are a lot of awesome tools out there like Substance Painter and I don't know, even Photoshop, but
Yeah.
those can be kind of hard to understand for complete beginners. So what I'm trying to do is a tool that is like you can give it to your grandma and she will know how to texture a 3D model in there.
Really?
That's yeah, because all
That's
you have to
amazing.
do is like grab the 3D model and paint it in it, and that's it.
That's it.
You can hit a button, export it, and that's it.
Wow. That's amazing.
Yeah,
So,
that's
okay, so how did like the idea of this come about? You were just like, I want to make art, but like do it in a VR space and do it where
yeah.
it's easy for everyone to use.
Actually, the idea came up while I was doing one of my tutorials. I did a tutorial on how to draw in Unity, and then I figured, maybe I could try this on the Oculus Quest. And it was just an evolving of months of, I don't know, theorizing and seeing what comes with the mechanic. And
Oh wait, I like that you said months of theorizing. So you didn't officially like work on the game in Unity for a while. You were thinking about ideas, drawing stuff, brainstorming,
yeah,
throwing it
and
away, restarting.
yeah, like the first 2 or 3 months were just planning because
Wow. See, that's hard because I think people would assume when you work on a game, it's like, oh, just go right away, get into Unity. But you took 3 months to plan it out.
yeah, yeah, because there are a lot of tools out there
Mhm.
that allow you to do art in VR, but they all
Okay.
use like UI, like you have buttons in your controllers and you have like floating UI and all that. And I didn't like that like at all, because I think that it kind of defeats the purpose of being in VR. Like the reason why you want to be in VR is because you don't want to click in buttons and UI, and that's the way I see it. So the first 2 or 3 months were just me researching and trying out different games and searching for different ways to make everything like more physical.
Mhm.
And yeah, that's, and maybe mainly just writing down like all my ideas and making a game document where I could, yeah, just lay out all my ideas. And yeah, for example, something I did that I think it's kind of different from other games, that is something simple,
Mhm.
uh, but it's not so common to see, is that in most games, if you want access to a different brush or something, like you have your flat brush, your round brush, your square brush, if you want access to them, you gotta like press different buttons on your controllers.
Yeah.
And I didn't like that. So what I did is that you have a wall with all your brushes laid out, and you can simply grab them and start to use them. And when you're done with them, you can simply drop them, and then will float back to
Oh, that's so
the
cool
wall.
and easy to
Yeah,
use. Yeah.
yeah. So it's something like, it's really simple to use. And yeah, instead of, for example, there's a color palette that you can make appear and select like a specific color.
Mhm.
But there's also like a lot of buckets with paint in it that you can simply grab and dip your brush in the paint
Oh,
bucket.
that's cool. Different choices.
Yeah, so and there will be like different palettes for those paint buckets too. So you my idea is that you will never have to use any type of UI inside of the game.
Mhm.
And
Oh, that's good. So it's basically all just like kind of like real life. You see something, you grab
yeah,
it. You pick the bucket up. That's your paint. Like that's everything feels real.
yeah, another cool idea that I'm developing right now is that, for example, in most games in VR, when you're trying to save a file, for example, and they pop up a keyword, and you gotta write like in a giant
Oh, I don't
ER.
like that. Yeah.
Yeah, and I didn't like that because it's a keyword. It doesn't make sense in like in real life. So what I did, instead of you having when you save a file, when you save a painting, instead of writing down the name, and then that name will appear like in a file or whatever, there's a camera. You can take a picture of the painting, and that will save the painting, and the camera will
What?
print like a little photo.
Mhm.
And then when you grab that thing, that's how you load the painting into.
Wow. That's genius.
Yeah.
How long did it take for you to come up with that? Was
Months.
like month exact? Wow. See, that's incredible to hear like the process of something like your game being built and it just being months and months of planning. So like how many iterations did you have of this camera? Were you like first I don't want to change the save, and then did you have like some other wacky ideas until you got to the camera?
um and well, let me think.
I'm just curious to see how
Yeah,
this process
there
is
was
like.
yeah, there was one idea that I it didn't work well because it didn't scale well. But what I was thinking was like having different cabinets, and that you
Okay.
can like grab your canvas, your painting, you can grab it, and file it in a cabinet and just close it. And when
Oh,
you
okay.
open again the cabinet, you can take out your
I
painting.
like that.
Yeah, but the issue with that is that what happens if you have 30 paintings, you will have like a bunch of cabinets filling your
Yeah,
room.
and then you
And
get
that
lost and you don't know where they are. Okay, I get that. Yeah.
Yeah. The way I'm handling it right now is that there's like a wall, and in the wall there are all your pictures.
Yeah, that's way
there.
simpler.
And you can simply grab them, and that would load a painting.
So I'm curious. So when you're testing on this, do you have someone else like looking at it, like saying like, okay, this is taking too much space. What if you have too many paintings? And then you're like, okay, let me go make the photo one. Or did you just do this on your own? You were like, I'm not liking it.
Yeah, I'm developing this with a partner.
Okay.
We're always bouncing ideas, and she's great. She's doing all the 3D modeling and all that, and I'm doing all the programming and all the design stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Okay. And so as doing the programming, what is your like, daily routine like when you're working on this project?
Well, putting on my Oculus Quest and just trying
Did
out
you program
different.
in Oculus Quest or?
Well, I have it down here.
Okay.
I don't program in it. I just test the game in it. I just put on the Oculus Quest in my forehead, and my daily routine is basically, okay, what's next? What do I have to do next? What can I do to make the project better? And I just go and iterate. I write a lot of Trello cards just to keep track of what I've been doing.
That's cool. So you just pick something like you're like, okay, this is a problem. We need to add like the way to, animation or something. Do you then go and like, so for instance, animation, who does that? Like with the arm brushing, is that your partner or is that you?
Well, there's no animation in the
project.
project.
Oh, you're right, because it's VR. So it just captures
it's VR.
it.
All the animated things are animated procedurally. For example, the brushes, when you move the brushes, they kind of flap like this, but that's all procedural animation.
Oh wow, okay.
Yeah.
So okay, so there's a few differences with making like a regular game and a VR game. What should people pay attention when they're trying to make a VR game?
Oh, performance. Okay. That's a huge thing. I'm amazed by the amount of tricks that you gotta use for VR. Like, for instance, you can't use Unity lighting in VR. That's really? That's just too hard for the Quest, for the Oculus Quest. So, you gotta like completely shift the usual workflow that you have for a PC game. Like, for example, in that game, Art Studio, everything is unlit. There's not a single light in the scene. So for doing that, we have to texture everything in Photoshop and fake the shadows and use a lot of Fresnel lighting, the Fresnel shading, sorry. Okay. That's Fresnel shading. It's like a type of shading that allows you to make the models darker on the corners. We had to use like a lot of tricks because the hard thing is that if you want to publish on App Labs or on the Quest Store, you gotta maintain a certain amount of frames per second. In specific, in the Oculus Quest 1, you gotta maintain 72 frames per second. And doing that is really hard, especially on a mobile.
Yeah, no, I bet. That's crazy.
For example, when I started doing the project, I wanted to have like this studio in a rooftop, and that you can see like a complete city around you.
That would be amazing, but I feel like that's hard to do, the performance.
Yeah, I had to drop the idea like
that would
really
have
fast.
I would have loved that.
Yeah, actually, I would like to do that, but after launch probably, because it was simply impossible to do a big city in a Oculus Quest and maintain my 72 frames per second. It was just like completely impossible. And
but maybe the next new technology coming out, you could probably eventually do it. With all the new technology coming out, you probably could eventually do it.
Yeah, probably. Maybe with the Oculus 3 or whatever. or maybe actually
With
the
Unreal
Oculus.
Engine 5, where they have the performance issues
Oh yeah,
cleared up. Yeah.
yeah, that would be awesome. But yeah, I mean, there are ways that I could do that. Maybe like have a skybox and have like
That's
PNGs
true.
of houses or whatever. But I just didn't want to go through all those iterations because it wouldn't look like,
The way you
yeah.
envisioned it. Yeah. Okay.
So I had to completely change how I design my my art in my head. And yeah, VR is hard. I have a lot of respect for VR developers now.
See, I didn't even realize it was that way harder. So, for instance, when people say like, "Oh, why is there no more VR games?" It's like, "Oh, why is nobody coming out with them as much?" It's like because it's hard. It's
It's
not
really
easy to
hard,
make.
yeah.
So they're trying their best. So when they come out and you're like, "It's okay," it's like give them more credit. They worked hard in that game. Yeah.
Yeah, totally, totally. Especially for those games that you see every now and then that are ports from a PC game. That's like, wow, I'm surprised by that. I'm completely astonished by that. Like recently there's this game, Sniper Elite VR,
Mhm.
that came up like a week ago, I think, on the Oculus Quest.
Yeah.
And it looks beautiful. It looks astonishing. And I have no idea how they achieved that on the Oculus Quest.
What? This looks insane. I'm looking at it right now. This is
Yeah,
a VR game?
it is a VR game. But
What?
more importantly, it is a mobile VR game.
It's a mobile VR game?
Yeah, it's on the Oculus Quest.
No.
Yeah, I'm sure that must be a big team because
No way. Yeah, that would be it's insane. It looks just like all the war games, but we're talking about on the mobile. So it's good graphics,
yeah,
VR, performance is fine on mobile. That's insane. I
I
don't.
mean, I haven't worked in a big team of VR developers, so I don't know. I assume that maybe when you have like 20 people, 30 people around you, all working in optimizing and doing performance improvements, it must be easier. But most of the VR teams that I know are usually 2 or 3 people. So
Damn.
that's the reason why it's so hard to do. And and also I think that there are not a lot of companies out there that want to take the risk in VR at the moment.
That is true. It's hard because not everyone has one and it doesn't always work well. People get sick too while playing it, and then
Yeah, there are
they're
too
gonna
many
pull.
risks.
Yeah, there's just too many reasons not to do it. But
Mhm.
we're getting there. We'll give it like 10 years, and soon like every game will be VR.
Yeah.
That'd be interesting. Like even if it's not like a VR game, it'd be cool to experience something where it's like in a virtual setting somehow. Maybe you're the in like once you put the goggles on, you can see the game in a different way. Maybe not to because you know how like story-driven games like Detroit Become Human or Uncharted. I
Yeah.
don't know if you can completely do that in VR, but maybe make experiences. You can experience the game while in a VR setting or something. I don't know.
Yeah, I feel like today we are in like I don't know if you remember mobile games like 10 years ago. We
All the
had
like what
like,
Candy Crush?
yeah, we had Candy Crush. We have this mobile games made by Ketchup. I don't know if you remember those. They were just
Like
stickman
ketchup?
games. And now we have a full battle royale Call of Duty in our cell phones.
I'm like, how? This is insane. I
Yeah, it
wish
is
I was a kid again because back then I had all the time in the world and I was playing Pokemon when I could be playing like battle royales on my phone. What?
Yeah, it is insane.
Insane.
So I have good hopes for the future of the VR industry. Like in 10 years, everything will be really different.
Yeah, because technology just keeps getting faster and faster and faster. It's
Yeah.
like, oh, we have now people are going to space like it's nothing. It's what do we what's soon? Soon people are gonna just be like there's gonna be houses on the moon. Like it's
Yeah.
just technology just moving like this. But it's great for games and because now we're having more games do things that's never been done before. I mean, to be able to create worlds in Unreal 5 now is going to be insane. It's
Yeah.
gonna, you just, so yeah, I'm excited for all this.
Yeah.
Now,
Even games that don't really need like the high tech that we have right now. Like that Ratchet and Clank game. I don't know if you've seen it.
I played it, I beat it. It's so good.
Yeah, that game is so beautiful. It doesn't need to be that beautiful, but it is, and it's awesome that we have those kind of games right now.
Right? It's like movie, it's like picture quality movie in a game format. And I
Yeah,
loved every minute of it. And I want more games like that that aren't too long and it's just beautiful like that. Because then to me, the thing is like I don't have time for like 300-hour games, but I like the idea. I like games more than movies. So like Ratchet and Clank to me is like an interactive movie.
Yeah.
You're watching the movie, then when you need to like they're going on the journey, you are that character, and then you watch the movie again. And I love that more. It's like, yes, this is what I love about these games, entertainment. And I do like my other 500-hour games, but only like one of those a year. I can't do every open world game that comes out.
No, yeah, me neither. I wish I could play more games nowadays.
Right? It's like, come on, this is what I love to do. Give me more games. But it's just cool though to like create them now and be like, guys, check out the games I played when I was younger. Or like my spin on what maybe like this game I was younger plus this game when I was younger together. Like you never know.
Yeah.
So I see in your Patreon it says you I don't know if you said this earlier, but you got chickenpox and this is what started like everything.
Oh yeah. Yeah, when
That's
I started
crazy.
yeah, it's so crazy. As I said, I was like 15 years old and I got the chicken pox. So I had to stay at home 2 or 3 weeks. I actually had a band at that time. I was a
You had a
bassist.
band?
Yeah,
Why you didn't
and
tell me you were that cool? So what is that like starting a band? Is that just like getting together and being like, let's do it, let's go make
yeah,
music?
yeah, we were friends at school and we were like, let's just make a band.
Was it a
And
good band? Like was it successful enough? And the
not really,
oh
but
no, come on.
yeah, I had a lot of fun. But that week, those 2 weeks, we were going to do a road trip, and we were going to play in many different
Oh, that would
cities.
have been so cool.
And
But
I
then life
couldn't go.
said no, we have something better for you
Yeah, I
or
couldn't
something
go
different.
because I
Yeah.
had chickenpox, and yeah, I got really depressed. But that's how I discovered Unity. I was like,
Wow. That's
what's
wow.
this?
This is a real true like success story. It's like one day he was gonna go on tour, but then boom, chickenpox, and he realized his true passion. Like it sounds like a movie too. Dun, dun, dun. But yeah, that's wild. Because we've had another guest on here called Justin who he broke both his knees and then was in the hospital and then just was bored. So he was like, let me program. And then
What?
yeah, and then yeah, and then he became really good at programming, and now he's got like 30,000 plus followers on Instagram, and I'm like,
Wow.
what? And he was in a band too, and then like that dream was gone, and then he was like, I'm gonna program. I'm like, what? How does that? You guys are both like movie characters. Like you popped out of a movie scene. Like this is insane.
I don't know. I just got lucky.
So let's say so back then when you were 17, you watched like your first practice video. How did you know that like, that was it? This is what I'm gonna do.
Well, yeah, I actually when I and during the chickenpox, I played BioShock Infinite, and
Mm,
that game is a masterpiece. That game made me
really?
go
I've
like,
never played it.
yeah, if you haven't, you should. It
Okay.
is a masterpiece, and that game made me think of everything of my life. Like, what am I doing? Why am I not doing games? I wanna make a BioShock game in it too. And yeah, that's why I went into YouTube and Google like how to make games.
I love this. So you were playing the game and you were like, this is such a good game. So incredible. You're like, I have to learn how to make it because I want to make my
Yeah,
own.
yeah, basically.
And so like is it the drive to make like something like Bioshock Infinite, or is it to like inspire others, entertain others, or is it more something like you just want to make it on your own?
Yeah, and well, I don't know. I just want to do something beautiful
Ooh, I like
like
that.
that game. Yeah, yeah, at the end of that game, I almost cried, and I had like really beautiful feelings, and I think that that's what drives me. Like I wanna. I don't really care for FPS games or story-driven games. I mean, I like all games, but what I care more is feelings and
Mm,
what you get from the game. So that's what drew, that's what inspired me to become a game developer, just
mm.
to make something that inspire others. Like I got inspired by Bioshock, I think.
I
Yeah.
love that. Yeah. And make games that make you feel something.
Yeah.
Because there's a lot of games cool, the spectacle, the particle effects, big budget. Wow. But sometimes when you're playing these games, you don't feel anything.
Yeah,
it's like fun, cool, but there's something about feeling something when you're watching it, like you feel an emotion that affects you, or this character reminds you of someone, or you feel it's like hopeful because of this character. Like that to me is the magic of games and storytelling and entertainment.
yeah, yeah. And the cool thing is that you can get feelings by all type of games. Like last week I was playing this game, Stanley the Parable. I don't know if you remember that game.
Which one's down with fire?
Stanley the Parable.
No, never
It's
played it.
a walking simulator that it's a really good premise. Basically, you're like a office guy. You're on your computer,
Mhm.
and you stop receiving work in your computer, and you decide that you wanna step up from your computer and do something new. But as you walk along, it is a walking simulator. As you walk through the office, there's a
Mhm.
voice narrating what you're doing. Like,
Okay.
and Stanley walked through the office searching for the coworkers. There was no one around in the office.
Oh,
What
okay.
could happen? And then the cool thing about that game is that there are like two doors in a certain part of the game, and the narrator says, "And Stanley walked through the right door," and you can decide if you want to go through the right door or the left door.
Yeah.
And if you go through the incorrect door, the narrator notices,
Hmm.
and it's like, Stanley, what are you doing? You're not doing what you're supposed to.
Oh,
So it's
that's so cool.
yeah, it's a really interesting idea about free will, and a game that basically makes you think about what are we doing with our lives? Are we really deciding by ourselves? Is there someone else that's deciding for us? And that's what I really like about
What?
games.
The game looks so
That's
cool. I like the premise where it's like the game may can end, the game may never end. Who knows? It's about like free will. Like, do you have free will and stuff?
Yeah, you should definitely check it if you haven't. You're gonna really like it, I
What?
think.
This is crazy. I need. How come I've never heard of this?
It's not a it's a popular game, but it's kind of old. Maybe that's why it released, I think, 10 years ago or something.
I'm just this. I'm done. I'm like, I feel like I'm looking it up now on YouTube, and like everybody knows about it. Everybody, like, I'm like over here, like, what? This is so cool. But yeah, it's like a game that makes you think about everything and questions everything. It's called Stanley Parable. Check it out. It looks like the guy. So one of the cool podcasters is Lex Friedman. He also played the game too, apparently. I'm like, no
Oh
way.
yeah.
Yeah, it's so cool.
Yeah, it's a really interesting game. So that's what I most like about games. Like, not only having cool stories and not only having cool visuals and whatever, just making feel something to the player. Like when you finish the game, you should have grown as a person in whatever shape or form.
Mhm.
When I finished BioShock, I grew a little bit. I think, like, morally,
Ooh,
sentimentally.
okay. So that's my favorite topic about games, how people can develop like morals and values and virtues. So like, what do you think you came out of? Like, you cared more about certain things, or you cherish things more? Like, what was your
Yeah,
mindset?
well, that game touches a lot of racial things, and a
Mhm.
lot of there's they don't really say it out loud, like this is a racial game, but they definitely talk about it under the lines, under the hood. There's a lot of racial talk, and I appreciated that a lot because yeah, well, I'm in Mexico, and
Mhm.
there's at that time there was a lot of tension between Mexico and USA in the political realm.
Mhm.
So playing that game at that time really made me realize that political stuff is one thing, and what really makes the people do stuff and think about stuff is another thing. Like political talk and real life talk are two different things,
They
and
really are. When
yeah,
it
because
comes, yeah,
yeah, because you can, like, if you only see the news and whatever, you can think that that like there are tension between the two nations.
mhm.
That may be true. I don't know, but
It might be tension politically, but not like with the people. So
yeah, the
that's why it's
people
different.
is
Yeah.
the people is something different, and that game really taught me that, I think. Yeah, because the premise, really quickly, the premise of the game is that there's Colombia. It's a city that's basically, it's a city that was lifted from the ground. Like there are giant helicopters that basically lift the entire city from the ground.
Yeah.
And that city separated from the United States. And that happened like in the 60s or whatever, or 50s, I don't know. So as they separated from the United States, the rest of the United States continue in their history, and Colombia didn't. Colombia stayed.
So there was still like division between.
Yeah, there was
colors,
there was a lot of slavery in Colombia, because they didn't have any laws that banned slavery and all that. So it's a really interesting idea how a modern city functions when you don't apply the modern laws. And that, yeah, that really taught me like a lot. It really made me question, like, what's the real life situation? What's different between what you live in real life and what you see on TV and what you see on the media?
And this is through a game. That's like people understand games are more powerful and impactful than people realize. They're not just the games like Galaga or Tetris. Like the parents, you think like, oh, you're just playing games. It's like, no. They're building values, morals. They're testing out ideas. They're getting input or output from the world, saying like, hey, this is how the world works here and in here and here. And you start to like internalize that. It's like, for instance, because I grew up with Call of Duty, like I know the world is got a lot of war, and a war is deadly, and it's bad things, and it's a lot of political, and like because of the game, and it also normalizes it in a weird way where it's just like I know about that. And then Assassin's Creed is like, oh, I know about Cleopatra. It's like it's weird how these games work nowadays, where it just can transport you and give you all this knowledge without even trying. Like you like, oh, I just know all this because I played a game. And you're like, what? How? It's just that's why I think if like in the future if schools or like education systems can incorporate like games like kind of like Assassin's Creed where people can then like let's say you're doing a history class and you're learning about Cleopatra. Well, why don't you walk the halls or play this game with Cleopatra? And then when you go to the test, instead of thinking about what's from the textbook, you're like, I was there. I saw what Cleopatra did. Like that would make it so much easier for students to remember things, to learn things. That's my thing with whole games and education and all that good stuff.
Yeah. Educational games are a thing.
But like incorporate VR with that and people will never forget. Like, oh, I don't remember that. It's like, no, you were there.
Actually, that's really crazy. Sometimes I dream in VR and I have memories in VR too.
What?
Yeah.
You dream in VR? I've never heard of that.
Yeah, I spent so much time in VR that now I have memories of me being in VR. Like,
what?
I have memories of me being in Rec Room. Wow. Or I have dreams where I am in Outspace or VR Chat or one of those. That's so crazy. I can imagine that being educated in VR could be like a really interesting thing.
Yeah, you wouldn't know what's real anymore because the graphics are getting too realistic.
No, goodness. Yeah, that's the thing, because actually even right now that the graphics are not realistic or whatever, they are kind of tuning. You don't really care for that. When you are in there, you really just live the experience. Like if you play something like VR Chat, everyone is using an anime character or a meme character, but you don't care. Like what you're doing there feels really real. Like you can see the movement of the people and you can hear them and you can walk with them, and that's what really makes the experience feel real. That's why I think I have memories, because I remember me being with someone talking about something, and I don't while I'm doing that, I don't think like, who am I talking to? I'm just talking with this Red Knuckles character, and I remember Red Knuckles character.
You mean from Sonic?
Yeah.
Oh my gosh, that's funny. I had a memory. It's Red Knuckles. It's like, what are you talking about?
Yeah.
That's hilarious. Wow. Okay. But yeah, it's amazing the power of VR games. And then I'm looking at this Party Animals. And so
Oh
is that
yeah,
something else you're working on with the
it is.
team?
Yeah, I'm
Yeah.
a VFX artist in that project.
Can we,
That's
what is it a little bit? Because it looks silly and I love it. When I see the little dog fighting stormtrooper ducks. Like what?
yeah.
What is this? And why
It's a
haven't I heard
party
of it?
game. It's basically a party game where
It's a party
you,
game?
yeah, it's a party game where you
What? I haven't played those in a
simply
while.
fight against other crazy animals, and that's it. But it's really physics driven, so that's the fun of it. Like everything waggles and moves like heavy things feel like heavy things. I don't know. It's such a physics fun experience. I'm a VFX artist there. I do like smokes and impacts and fires and mud, water, all those particles. I That's what I'm doing in that project.
Wow. No, I'm excited for this. This is because I haven't played party games in a while, and like Fall Guys, I like Mario Party back in the days. All like I played all the time. So this is like a fun game you play with friends. This is cool. But is it just Xbox or is it also PlayStation?
Um, I don't think I can talk about that.
Oh, no worries. No, yeah, no worries.
Yeah.
That's so cool. Wait, so for the Jedi Nemo, did you? What was your work on that? Was that doing all the? Did you do work on that one, or was that someone else?
Jedi Nemo. I don't know.
Oh, it's when the dog comes out with the lightsaber and attacks the stormtrooper ducks.
Oh, I don't remember that.
Oh, what? No? Okay.
Where are you seeing that?
All right, I'll show you. It's so cool. I'm dying. It's funny. Okay. I'm gonna send it to you through the Zoom chat.
Where?
Boom. There it is.
Yes, sometimes I forget about projects.
No, it's fine. It makes sense.
It's not it's not that I don't care. Oh, wow. I haven't seen that.
Isn't that great though?
No, the team is really big. I've never seen that. Yeah, it's a really, really big team. So
It's so cool. I love it. I'm like, this is great.
yeah, I'm not the only VFX artist in the team. There are many VFX artists.
Yeah, I see the
Uh,
team grew a lot. It was like originally a small team, but then it's now huge.
oh yeah, it's a really big team. They are all based in China. I work online with them. But yeah,
What's that like working
I don't
in
know all
Mexico?
of them, for example,
Oh,
because
okay.
it's such a big team. Because I can't simply keep up, and it's a really big production. Actually, I think that on E3 we had a trailer during the Xbox live event.
Oh, really?
Yeah,
Oh, that's so cool. Everybody check that out. That's amazing.
yeah, it's cool.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, that's one of the things that I like about this is I wouldn't call it triple A. That's It's more like triple E, triple
Triple
I,
E. Okay. What do you mean by that?
triple indie.
Oh, Triple India. I got you.
Yeah, and the cool thing about it is that well, it's kind of cool because you don't really know where your work is going to be. I don't really know if I've because when I saw the trailer, I didn't know that there was going to be a trailer.
Oh,
I
really?
just yeah,
Oh, wow.
I was just watching the Xbox event and I saw the game and I was what? I was like what?
You're like, I'm working on that. What is going
Yeah,
on here?
and then I saw a bunch of my effects and I was like, wow.
Wow, you did it. You made it. Yeah. How does that feel? What is that like feeling like seeing you work on like E3? Being like, wow.
It feels really great to be honest. It's so weird because it's such a big production that you don't really know what you're doing. You don't really know your place in the whole game. It's
Mhm.
such a different thing to doing like an indie game on your own. Like comparing my work there to art studio is such a completely different thing. Like
No, I bet. You're just like, wow, this is crazy, like AAA type work now, kind of. People are viewing it. It's amazing. Hopefully one day they'll get to see your art VR game up there one day on E3. Could you imagine?
oh, that would be awesome.
That'd be the day. What would you do? You'd like throw a party.
Definitely. If COVID still exists during that, it will be an online party or something. But
I got you. Awesome. So we're getting near the end. I wanted to ask you to do a challenge for the GameDev.tv students.
Sure.
Could be anything, just a small challenge related to maybe art, programming, whatever you think would be a good challenge.
A challenge. Like a tech art challenge?
Yeah.
Maybe you could maybe they could try a lighting challenge, like do your own lighting in Unity. That's something that will really teach you how to how Unity works, basically.
Yeah,
Like,
because it lets you dive in and learn the different ways to do things, the tool sets,
yeah,
and
it's
then
a
mess around with lighting helps you just create better scenes.
yeah, there's a lot of info out there about lighting, and I think that it's a really cool way to get started in shaders and stuff. So try custom lighting. That's the challenge. Try to not use the lit materials in that Unity gives you. Try to use a custom lighting shader.
Awesome. That was a great challenge. I can't wait to see what people do. And then I just want to say thank you again for coming on, Daniel. It's been so much fun. Learned a lot about tech art and your new game, the games you're working on.
Thanks for having me.
Of course.
It was great to be here.
And so I'd like to do at the end of the podcast is just hand the mic to you, doing last minute shout outs, quotes, tips, whatever you want to leave us off with. And thank you for coming on. The mic's all yours.
I don't know. Well, just shout out to my friends in Happy Nemo and my friends in SMG too. And if you want to see more about ArtstudioVR, just follow me on Twitter. I'll be posting more stuff there.
Well, that's it. Thanks for listening. You can find all courses at GameDev.tv or in the show notes at a discounted price. Get started with your game development journey today.